Well, it's the next day now, and you can see we coloured the card. I hope that's going to focus. You see, to and fro goes away, and on the seventh day brings return. It's and it avoids the dark side, the demonic areas of cities and places that you don't want to be in. The way doesn't go through there, it breaks down, it goes around these places. The great way takes you through the best part of the world that you need to interact with. And what is the great way? Well, it's the way that we're led on, that we're moving on, that we have our being on, and our being moves along a great way. So my hands, as they move, they're moving on the great way. And there's no need to think about what you do. It simply happens anyway. And it's just an illusion that we have any control over ourselves. It's an illusion. It's a necessary illusion for people who don't know anything about this stuff. And if you've been put into your mind because you've got some problem inside yourself that you need to sort out, then you don't want to be on the great way. Okay, you don't want to have anything to do with the great way. You won't even know about it. The great way is only for those people who have been put back into reality. Okay, so you can look and see a tangible reality. You can see through the veil, which everybody else out there cannot see through because they've made mistakes, and so they have to see inside themselves through their dark self. It's a dimmer view of the world. Okay. A world comprising of past and future and what needs to be done now. Yeah. All the pauses are also part of the great way, and so we have to allow the pauses to happen, and we have to take whatever comes without premeditating. So to premeditate means to think ahead, to think about what you're doing, to actually say, I will take that up and put it somewhere else. No, you just leave everything as it is until it moves. And it moves because your hands may move it, but your hands are no different to these objects here. These objects have to be where they are. And is a profound thing is that as you look at the objects in the world, if you're on the great way, you start to notice certain things, certain arrangements of objects which form a consistency, a left and a right, and a forward and backwards, a north and a south, an up and a down. The way the objects in the world arrange themselves is not random, it's actually in a geometrical fashion, you know. And it's a marvel, really. You only start to see this when you start to walk on the way, okay? And you can only do that, the first point of that is to actually get the great awakening. This is what this light symbols like. You've got to be put back into the light first. And what the philosophers of old used to say was, know thyself, know thyself. And so the temple at Delphi, it was written above the doorway. The most important words were, "Know thyself." At the tripod of Delphi, where people used to go to consult the oracle, know thyself. And if you were consulting the oracle, you needed to really know thyself, because otherwise you've got a big problem inside your mind. You've got all these false ideas and notions, and these need to be cleared away. And you can only clear these obstructions away by knowing yourself. What's wrong with your brain? Your brain is how you process all the events in your life and what conclusions you came to about what everything meant, okay? And you didn't know about reality, and all of a sudden you've been placed in reality, and now you've got something new, okay? My God, I didn't know this could be like this. Wow. Now you've got to reprocess everything inside yourself, because to come up with a concept of a meaning to life, if this is a new place you find yourself in. Okay. Now, what happens if you fall into meditation, if you fall into thought, thought involves events of the past and what might come in the future. This is a process, and you can fall into thought. So as you fall into thought, so the reality dissolves and you end up back in this place, yeah, which is a prison, really. The prison, there's a veil between you and reality, because there's certain things that you need. Instead of being looking into reality, if you looked into reality, you'd mess it up. And anything a person does that's got faults in the brain, if they are put into reality, they'll just mess it up. So God puts a person into their brain and says, concentrate here, because this is where the fault is. Okay. And so there's a real science to philosophy. And so thinking, and after you've fallen and you start to thinking about this, you can say, oh my God, I've just realised I'm lost in my mind again. I'm thinking about this stuff, the past and the future and all these events that happened to me. Oh, and then, boom, now you see reality again, okay? So this is what happens to you at first when you put into that initial reality and find yourself on the Great Way, but you don't know about the Great Way. You've got to discover the Great Way. It's there, but you don't know about it. But you're on it. You just haven't realised it yet. And so as well, you realise yourself. The self-realisation gets you into the light, okay? And way realisation gets you into integrating yourself with the rest of the world in this reality, in this eternal moment. Because when you're in the eternal moment, you see everything clearly, and you're not thinking about anything. Your thoughts are operating, your thought still operates, yet it's operating in a higher level, it's operating in an intuitive level, and it's directed to the objects actually in your reality in the world right now. It can also be directed to objects that are happening in America. It can be directed to, you can go on the computer, you know what I'm talking about. And so, it's a kind of an inspiration that actually, it's not reacting, oh my God, what does this mean to me? It's sort of saying, oh yes, what's the truth of this? What's the truth of this? And what's best for the world? What's best for this place that we're living in out here? Because you're no longer concerned about yourself. You've mastered yourself, okay? And now you're concerned about the world. And the way is what leads you to what you need to do about that, okay? What you need to do about that. that's enough now. I'm going to stop, check that the video is working, and then I'll continue. I increase the exposure a little bit, we'll see how we get on, and I have some coffee. Now, when I got up this morning, I got up on the Great Way as usual. So this is a good example. Now, normally when I do these card readings, I just get the card and then I finish one video and carry on with the next one. You know, I colour the card in and whatever comes next. I haven't made an appointment with myself, if you know what I mean. I haven't put the card to one side. And so, and said, oh, I'll do that later. So I'm just doing whatever I'm doing as it needs to be done, yeah. And so it's different when I get a card at the end of the day, because I'm not going to do that card now. The card, as you saw, it wasn't coloured in, and it lived here in the house from all the evening and all the night, and I think I coloured this in yesterday in the night, before I went to bed. I coloured the card in when I felt like it, yeah. And so the colouring in of the card inspired me, the inspiration, not premeditation, inspired me as I did the artwork to think certain things. What did the artwork mean? I didn't know what I was drawing when I drew it, because each piece of the artwork is a piece of the way. The artwork is the great way drawing itself. This is very important, okay? I haven't thought about this. And so it was only after I drew these things that I realised what I'd drawn and what it all meant, yeah? Although there was some kind of background to it. I did say this line that's going to be the way, but that was it. And then the other stuff, and when I came to colour it in, I took inspiration from the other parts of the artwork to fill the gaps in with appropriate ideas that came to mind in the moment, just as the hand moved. It was more the hand moving than anything else that creates the artwork. So an artist, a real artist, is really the great way expressing itself, okay? And it's just as surprising to the artist how things materialize in the artwork. It's a mystery, it's a marvel, it's actually a miracle, The only way you can know that it's a miracle is to actually find yourself doing it. You have to become an artist. And all of you will, if you follow the Great Way, you will all become artists, because it leads everybody down the same pathway, and it's the evolution of the human being from a fallen state, and then they put back into the light, and then their feet are put onto the pathway of the Great Way, and now they start walking towards salvation. Many steps and many tests on their way towards salvation. Then they become saved and born again, and then that pathway leads higher and higher level towards the angelic and towards a personal relationship with God. Okay? That's really how it progresses. And so the Great Way is the start, if you like, of that journey of salvation, the journey of salvation. And a lot of people will find themselves put back into that reality, not really perhaps understanding what happened to them, and make a few mistakes, fall back into the brain, and never find it again for years. And I think this happened to me once or twice in my life, because I do have times when I remembered, I started to want to get a bit spiritual then, and then I forgot about it, yeah. And so maybe I had this experience a few times before I actually realised what had happened to me. And when I realised what had happened to me, that's when I became self-realised, okay? And what allowed me to achieve that self-realization was a study of the works of Krishnamurti. Krishnamurti was specially sent to guide humanity back to reality and the Great Way. That was his mission. He was specially sent for the computer generation, for the people who, a very logical, material mindset, science and all that stuff, atoms and stuff, people who had got their brains all sort of fogged up with that. His teachings was there to break through all that stuff, because Jesus' teachings couldn't do that anymore. And so his teachings, and some people said he was the Messiah, you know. They found him as a child in Benares, I think it was, in India. He was just like a little Hindu boy, you know, running around in bare feet and all that. And this master, C.W. Ledbetter, he looked at this guy, he saw him on the beach, and the thought came to him. On the way, inspiration from his angelic guides. This is the Messiah. This is, he didn't call him the Messiah. He said, this is the teacher, I think he said. The world teacher, that's what he said. He said, this man, this boy is going to be the world teacher. Yeah. And he was. This is a profound thing. And he demonstrated that he was too in his life. And nobody in the world took any notice of him. Nobody, except me, says that Krishnamurti was the world teacher. And it was true, the prophecy of C.W. Ledbetter was true. He was the Messiah. And so, for our generation, because he put me into the light. Okay, so I owe my saving, if you like, the original saving that got me out of the darkness into the light, I owe that to Krishnamurti. Okay. So, respect where respect's due, that's all. I take 5. Okay, so to get back to this card and how it evolved after I went to sleep, because I did colour it in and then I felt like going to bed. I uploaded all my videos and then I felt like going to bed. Yeah. So I just got in bed, and what the mind does after it's done something like this, and when there's a time delay, it seems like it meditates on it. Because I had no intention of thinking about the card, I could have just got up and just done it, yeah. That wasn't what happened. What happened was I kept on coming back to the way, the card, and because I've been on this way for 25 years, probably, ago, this is a long time ago, I haven't thought about any of this stuff for a while, and so what the brain is doing on the Great Way is it's sorting and finding interesting little things that might be able to be used as teaching aids to talk about this card. So I didn't talk about it straight away because it's covering a great span of time, and so lying in bed before I had slept, and then when I woke up in the night to go to the toilet or whatever, now I'm lying in bed and not sleeping, and just stuff's going through my mind. And what I'm doing is I'm reliving parts of my journey on the Great Way, preparing, sifting. My brain is just doing this. I'm not doing anything intentionally. I'm not thinking about this. Yet it's all going automatically through, and just to relax and let all this take place, because what's happening is my brain is producing like a fruit of itself, what I'm saying on this card now, right now. And so when I got up, and so I didn't know when I got up what I was going to do. You know, do I make a cup of coffee? Do I do something else? Do I wait till the sun comes up? It's still dark out there. What am I going to do? No. I get up, I put my dressing gown on. I don't even know whether I'm going to make the video in my dressing gown, because I've done that in the past too. So I made myself some coffee, filled my flask. I'm going to do some more in a minute because I need another one. And I came in here and it was all dark in here, and I touched the phone to see what time it was, as I normally do in that situation, and it said it was 444, alright, 444, yeah. Not some random number, it was 444. Now, the number 4, each number has its own meaning, but the number 4 means making stuff. Making stuff. So 444 just says time to make, but I didn't register that at the time. I just thought, because normally whenever I turn my phone on to look at the time, it's always something like that. It'll be 111, or it'll be, it'll be something like that. It won't be 534. It won't be that. It'll be some profound moment in time. And this shows me that I'm on the way. It confirms, because the way is profound. Okay. And so, once you start seeing these sort of things, you don't want to live a normal life after that. Your life will just become too interesting. And so, when I saw that, I thought, okay, it's 444. It's too early, really. Yet, what am I doing next? Oh, now I'm making the coffee. So now my hands are moving, and the coffee starts to move. So I say, oh, okay, the coffee's being made, right? And so, whilst the kettle's boiling, I go wandering off, because you never stand around, on the way, you never stand around and wait. You're always doing stuff. And so there's always something else you can do. So that's why I put my dressing gown on before I got dressed, because now, as the kettle's boiling, now I find myself taking my dressing gown off, because I don't know whether I'm going to get back into bed and drink my coffee, or whether I'm going to get dressed. You never know. I never know when I'm going to get dressed. How would you know? The way. You're following the way. There's no point in premeditating on it, yeah? You learn this. And so, I find myself taking the dressing gown up and hanging it up. Okay, so now, oh, I'm getting dressed, okay? Because you see it's happening. You go, oh yeah, I'm getting dressed. And so then you go and put your clothes on. Now, you don't know what clothes you're going to be putting on. Normally I put the clothes on from the chair that I chucked them on. But last night I took the other jumper off, and I carefully folded it up and put it away. So this morning I end up wearing this jumper, okay? And I thought, oh, that's interesting, I seem to be wearing my old jumper. That's good. And I thought that, I said, oh yes, I see what nature's doing. I see nature doesn't want me to mess up my new jumper, because I'm just making videos around the house. There's no point in wearing out a nice new jumper. So what we do is we keep that for if I go to town or something like that, yeah? When I need a nice object, not sort of worn out, yeah? So this is how the Great Way works. It doesn't waste anything, and everything is done in a very perfect way. Yet, it's not perfect in the house here. There's many jobs that need to be done. There's books I haven't put away. I don't know why, because maybe I need to reach out and use this book in a video that's coming up, right? I don't know why stuff is hanging around where it is, but it will become obvious at some point. And at some point the hands will tidy everything up. Okay, so we got through the part, we're processing the card. Now we kind of got an idea of what the card might be going to say, but we don't know until we say it. The brain has been prepared. So I'm going to take 5 now and process that video, and then we'll come back to this, because this is a difficult subject, all right, and there's a lot to it. And so I'm going step by step, and I think it's going to be a long video, this one, because the way is long, 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 long. Yet it's all lived in an instant. It's lived in the eternal now, so there's no past and no future on it, really. Everything is processed as it happens. Okay. Okay, the Great Way is teaching us what we need to say in this video. So I went and made some coffee, and this time I put the kettle on. As I put the kettle on, so my hand moved backwards and it knocked over my empty flask. Now, if you ever do something like that, the mistakes are the best part, yeah, because that's not a mistake, that's the Great Way telling you, watch out for this, you need to do this. And so I looked, I said, there's dishes that need washing, okay, because now you've got some time, you've got to wait for the kettle to boil. So you've got some time. Now, before I found myself getting dressed, but now I find myself washing the few little dishes that they're cleaning up, and whilst the kettle's boiling, okay, because you don't want to be just doing the washing, you want to be doing that whilst you're waiting for something, yeah? Now, if my lady was here, the dishes would have all been washed. I would have gone to that bench there and everything would be absolutely clean and pristine, far better than I could ever do it. Okay. Because the Great Way would have told her, before going to bed, go in there and clean everything up. She'd love it. She'd be happy doing it. Yeah. Okay. And so it's only the man who does it whilst he's doing something else. Okay, that's how the man operates. Because if we both went at exactly the same time, the lady and the gentleman, to do the dishes, we'd be banging into each other, wouldn't we? You know, you don't want that to be happening. But if the lady, for some reason, isn't around, then the man's looking after it in the morning. So in this case, we're opposites, really. And a wonderful team in this respect. And neither of us is doing anything that we hate, you know. I said, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, now I also had to put the milk in the microwave, and so that cooked, heated the milk up, and then I had to pour the coffee into the coffee filter thing, yeah, and I could have just poured it out, but then it wouldn't have time to percolate, would it? Yeah. And so, right in that moment, as I put the water in and put the filter object into the filter thing, I felt like a pea. So now, instead of standing around doing nothing, I went and had a pee. Right. This is nature leading you in the right sequence of events. You're not thinking about this. So, having had a pee, gone to the toilet, took the light on, took the light off, gone back into the kitchen. Now everything's ready to pour the coffee into the flask, the milk and the coffee into the flask. Okay, they're both ready. So I wasn't waiting for anything at any time. Everything got done. Yeah. Okay. So now we learnt about knocking stuff over. There's another thing too that you need to know. You're looking for if your hand touches anything, yeah? Like your glasses. I think this morning I went like this and it meant my glasses were on. Oh, my glasses. I'm going to need my glasses before I do the video. And so I didn't have to go searching for my glasses. My body just carried me straight to where my glasses were without remembering where they were. I don't do any memorizing of anything. It just knows. The way just knows where everything is. Yeah. And if you don't find something straight away, it's because you're meant to find something else. So if you can't find your glasses anywhere, the glass is a sign you need to look here. And so if you can't find your glasses, boom, 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 and say, oh my God, here's my glasses. Yeah. Now, what that means is you need to read what it says here. Yeah. Okay, I'll leave you on that and finish my coffee, and then we'll carry on. Now, just as an aside, before we carry on, when I dealt with that video, I noticed its number said 1288. That's the number of the video, of this video, not that video, the one I just made. Okay, and 88, that's the number of transformation, to transform, to become enlightened. All right, and so I feel that that final video there is going to make at least 12 of you see the light of this, the Great Way, what it actually is. It's going to dawn on you through that final video what it actually is. Okay, so that part of the video is finished. And what I've told you about is how I operate now, and I've been living 25 years on the Great Way. So what you're getting is 25 years of experience walking the Great Way, and that's how I do it now. Okay, yeah, that isn't how I started doing it, and so I have to go back to the beginning of this and tell you about how I discovered the Great Way, because I did not know it existed. Yeah, did not know it existed. All I knew was, I read Jesus' instructions was, "Thy will be done, thy kingdom come." Okay, and so that's his teaching about the Great Way. He says, if you do the will of God, the will of which is the will of nature, the Chinese call that the Great Way, then you'll find yourself in the kingdom of heaven. Yeah, away from the dark stuff. Right? So, Jesus' teaching is no different to the Chinese stuff, really. And one can study the I Ching and the Dao of Ching is a lot of the Taoist stuff. It deals with the Great Way. So one can study the writings of the ancients, and one must study the writings of the ancients. And the first thing I did when I've entered the Great Way was spend the next 3 years in bed just reading every book that I'd failed to read on my material pathway. I had to read all the great writings of all the great philosophers and spiritual writers, science that had been missed out, all sorts of stuff I had to read for 3 years to prepare myself for my mission, okay, which I didn't know what it was. It appears in front of you on the way, okay, on the way. You can't premeditate it, you have no plan. Okay, I'll take 5. Right, now, as well as movement on the way, one can get words can come to you from your spirit guides, if you like. In my case, from Adam, I of Light. But Adam and I of Light and me is just the same. Yeah, you realise it's yourself is what it is, but it's your higher self. Okay, your higher self is incarnated with your lower self, and now you've got extra abilities. Okay, and so a word comes to me. Just wait a second. Just wait. Right. And so that's why I paused just now, because I heard the words, just wait. So when the mind is quiet, it can listen, and I'm listening to what the speaker is saying now, and the speaker is Adam of Light. That's who the speaker is. My higher self, an angelic messenger. So as well as words, there's movement. There's movement and there's words. These are the two aspects, opposites of the Great Way. One is the physical movement, and the others spiritual movement of words and body action. Okay, and all of both of these things are easier to notice, for them to happen to you. It's easier in water. Under the shower. Under the shower is where I first discovered both of these things. Okay, both of these things. So the way to practice this is you get under the shower, and what you do is you just allow your body to become completely free of your own control, free of it. Okay, and you see, does it stay still, or does it start to move? Does it start to move? In the shower, it's easier in the shower. What does it do? Does it bend right over and touch the ground? What will it do? Okay, don't force it, don't stop it, like I'm doing now. I'm not actually doing it. Great way is doing it. Don't force it, just allow it to work. And in the shower, you'll find it easier. You'll notice it more. That's all it is. You'll notice it more. You'll be able to do it easier. You'll be able to free yourself easier from your own control, if you like, and find if there's another control there. Right? With nature, it just can do whatever it wants to do. This is the start of understanding what the Great Way is and finding it a reality that you can connect with to understand, oh yeah, now I see what the Great Way is. That's what the Great Way is. Okay. So, then the words, all right? Now, when I start to learn about the Great Way, I would get up in the morning and have a shower, and I would practice this in the shower, because this was, something that you could do as a practice to start with. You didn't say, I am going to practice this now. Just that you're not doing anything in the shower, so why not do this? Yeah. The thought comes to you, not as a premeditation, but as, let's do it now. Okay, and so I was in the shower, and I finished doing that, and I was just washing myself and just relaxing in the shower, and then, boom, these most powerful words came to me. Bang! And the word said, the Theosophical Society was made for you. The Theosophical Society was made for you. I thought, wow! I've never had an experience like this in my life before. Okay? And I didn't know anything about Adamai of Light. I didn't know nothing about what this was. This was just coming to me, okay? So I got this message from upstairs, the Theosophical Society nephew. It was so strong that I had to actually contact the Theosophical Society in Madras and actually send them an email, find out an email address to send to, send them an email to tell them that I got this special message and that I needed to contact them, okay? And of course I got no reply, yeah, because this is the way the world is now. The Theosophical Society is finished. There's nobody in there interested in anything of the work of the Theosophical Society. They're all just interested in themselves, yeah. Nobody wants to answer emails from crazy people. So you see, they're all off the way. If that was me at the other end, I would get the email and make a perfect response to it immediately. Okay, but these people are not on the way, so they're finished. And so anyway, I ended up finding out where the Theosophical Society was in the place I was living in, and I went to visit the Theosophical Society and meet them. Yeah. And I found people who didn't seem to know a thing. They were it was more like a club. It was more like a social thing, yeah. It wasn't, they are all full of this knowledge that they read in books, but they didn't actually practice anything, yeah. And so I found that the Theosophical Society was fake, yeah. Yet it had been set up. God told me in this moment that the Theosophical Society was supposed to take care of me. Now that I was on the way, they were supposed to be my monastery, if you like, the same as they did with Krishnamurti. You know, they were supposed to take me in, yeah, and make me part of the organisation so I could carry on my work like C.W. Ledbetter did and like Krishnamurti did, and these people, yeah. But they'd failed, their mission has failed, they'd failed to respond to me appearing in the world on the Great Way, okay. And it's interesting because the Anthroposophical Society broke away from the Theosophical Society over Krishnamurti. And my lady was big time in the Anthroposophical Society, and she was the one who recognised me. And so if the Anthroposophical Society hadn't broken away from the Theosophical Society, I wouldn't have been looked after. Simple as that. The Anthroposophical Society had to do it instead of the Theosophical Society, eventually. But that was many, many years later, okay. So we're back to the shower. We're back to the shower, okay. Okay, my guy says stop now, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so you found a great way. You're channeling wherever you're meant to be. You're going. You leave the house when you're called to leave the house. You come back when you're called to come back. Everything you do is without premeditation. Okay, so you're finding your way to places out in the world. Maybe you go to a pub even to find out what's going on in there on the Great Way. You might feel a little bit uncomfortable. You're practicing being comfortable just in the reality everywhere, in all sorts of places. You go into the library, you're finding books and so on. You could even make a business. I made a business selling books that I found at the library. I bought for 50p each and sold them on the equivalent of eBay to get money to finance my studies, if you like. So you can actually find yourself making a little business on the Great Way. Anything can happen to you, yeah? And you're studying, you're moving around, you're getting to know that all the groups are fake. You know, you go to all the different churches in your local area because you think maybe you'll find other people like you, but you don't. They're all in the darkness, yeah? Or they're all in their pride of spirituality. Oh, yeah. Did you find Jesus? You know, all this stuff. They ask you all these questions and they're trying to prove that you're not, you're not one of them. Because you're not one of them. You know, you got it right, yeah. And you're a living proof of the living spirit in the world. So you're studying a lot. And what you're doing is you're studying for your first degree on the philosophical pathway. You're studying philosophy, yeah, so that you can earn your degree in philosophy, okay. And part of earning your degree in philosophy is you have to meet another philosopher, an older person, a master philosopher from the previous generation. And you have to help him. You have to help him with his work, and you earn your wings doing this. And you can't progress further unless you do this. And so anybody who's not prepared to be helpful in the world just doesn't get past those steps. And most people don't. Most people don't ever find their master that they can help. Okay. And so the few who do continue on the next beyond that level, okay. And so I found I went to I think it was called the Unity Church. It was just a small little group of people that were meeting, and you know, they're having cakes and stuff, and I just sort of saw that. I walked past it one day and I saw some people there drinking coffee. So I thought, oh, I'll go in there. I'll have a cup of coffee with these people. And so I walked in and just said hi to everybody. And everybody, you know, they're not as friendly, you know what they're like. And then there's this one man. He said, oh, hi. Oh, hi, yeah. I said, yeah. And his name was John McDonnell. And we sat down and we just had a wonderful conversation because he was the only one there who was walking the way. He was walking the way, John, yeah, as best he could. He was old, he was in his 80s, yeah. And he told me, the first thing he told me about was his work, because this is the all-consuming passion of any master on the way is his work, yeah. And so John, for 15 years, had been working on a written play with songs in it, like a Gilbert and Sullivan sort of thing, with songs and characters and so on in the play. The main characters was Adam and Eve, and Adam and Eve had reincarnated. Adam had reincarnated on the planet to save humanity. It's like crazy story. And I looked at the picture and it looked like me. When I was a child. It was weird, man. But anyway, I wouldn't have got to see the picture if I hadn't responded appropriately to John, because John said, oh, I'm doing this play, it's called A Golden Age is Coming, and you know, he explained a little bit about that. So I said, oh, that sounds really interesting. He said, you want to come and see it? I said, yeah, let's do it. So, you know, this is what you're doing with people. You get a live one and you're both live on the way. You're just doing stuff. Yeah, it's great. It's really great. But you very seldom meet people like this. Yeah, it was a wonder. And so I went to his house and we had a look at his play. And he got out these scruffy like soiled, been sitting around for years and years and years, all messed up, bits of artwork, bits of typing, and he'd had people that he'd paid for to try to help him do stuff, but they'd just done a load of bad stuff, you know. And so I looked at what he had and I said, look, John, why don't we get this sorted out, you know. I said, I can scan it all into my computer and we can typeset it all and we do a nice job of it. And so this is why I ended up doing. I ended up helping him to get his play to the next level, okay. And my work became helping him with his play, Golden Age is Coming. And I'll go into that in some other video probably. But just to say, you've got to meet your master, right? And you've got to help that person, and in the end you've got to go on your journeyman year, which means that you've got to go on pilgrimage. You've got to go and walk the way, find out where it takes you on a long journey, and sleep on the sacred sites and all that sort of stuff. Now there's cards coming up about that, and it will also tell you more about how you use the sticks, and use the sticks to walk the great way when you're on pilgrimage. I'm not going to cover that here now because it's already a very long video. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pick the next card. Okay, let's do that. So we'll put the way away. You know all about that now. You've got an idea where it leads you. And let's see what comes out next. Okay, so I'm going to pick the next cut for the next video, and if you subscribe to the channel, you'll get in your feed notification that this video has been posted, and you'll be able to continue to know what the reading is for this card. We're just getting rid of the ones that we don't want. The hands is just moving on the great way. Okay, this is a sign because this is an end of this whole series, yeah. And it's thy will, not my will. And so this is just a sign to show you This is a sign from Jesus, if you like. This is Jesus. This is Jesus' teaching, all right? And Jesus is saying, he's confirming that this great way exists and that it is the will of God that you're following, and not my will, not to force what I want to do on the world, but allow God and nature to work through me to fulfill the plan of nature in all its perfection, as perfect as it can be, because unless we're all walking on the way, it's very imperfect. There's only one or two people, and it's lonely out there. There's not many people on the way. When you all get on the way, like they did in the 1960s, you'll have a much, much better time of it. You children of the future. Thanks for watching. Okay, this is really the next video. The feeble